In the 1950s, was in New York, a young yeshiva student with the name Marvin Tokear. This man studied in Yeshiva University. One day, he heard somebody put a sign on the wall that there's going to come a young Chabad student to teach Tanya. Tanya is the basic philosophy of Chabad, the book. The student's name was Moshe Feller. Today, I think it was Moshe Feller. Today, he's an old man who is a rabbi of Chabad in Minnesota. Very famous rabbi. He came to teach Tanya. One of the students, it was Thursday night, 10 o'clock at night. Most of the students, 10 o'clock at night by Thursday night, are not about to learn Tanya. They have other things on their mind. But he came to learn Tanya. There were a few students and he was teaching that. And this student, Tokear, he read a lot of philosophy, of other Jewish philosophers like the Kuzari, Saadia Gaon, and Yehuda Levi, and so on. And he started to ask questions. Why is the Alter Rebbe saying Tanya that this is the way to think, this is the way to believe? I learned in other Jewish books differently. For this Chabad boy, Tanya was the beginning and the end. There is no other things. And this young man, this Tokear, used to argue with him. Every time when he didn't know the answer, he used to tell him, ask the Rebbe knows the answers. He says, I'm asking you, not the Rebbe. Arguing and arguing. One day he told him, write a letter to the Rebbe. So the young yeshiva student writes letters. He never write a letter to anybody. Why should he write a letter? One day he forced him, he sat him down to write a letter. He wrote a letter with all his questions, and he sent it to the Rebbe. Put a stamp, so I made it. A few days later, he gets a phone call from the Rebbe's office that the Rebbe wants to see him. It was late 50s, 1959, something like this. You have an appointment with the Rebbe. What time? 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay. Comes 3 o'clock in the morning, he comes a few minutes, he drives the subway, his mother was upset, in the middle of the night, you're going to Crown Heights and the subway, it's dangerous, he went. Before he's met by the secretary, he tells him, there is rules here, my friend. You walk in, you stand, you don't sit down. In front of the Rebbe you stand. You don't shake hand. And you look at the Rebbe straight in his face. You don't look around at the books, and he's talking to you. And you have 2 minutes. You came all the way from the for 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 minutes, what are you going to do? And the secretary, I knew him, he was like, he laid down the rule, there was no argument there. Okay, finally, ushered to the Rebbe's room, there's a line there. The Rebbe smiles to him, asks him, what's your name? Which yeshiva you're learning? What you do? What you study? Oh, and they told them, after 2 minutes you hear the bell ringing. The boss, you know it's time to leave. 2 minutes and you hear the boss, he says, okay, Rabbi, there was just a few questions. Thank you very much, I have to leave. They were told him, no, stay. Okay, stay to continue the conversation. 2 minutes later, there's another boss. So, Rabbi, I'm sorry, I have to leave. He said, no, stay. But they told me I have to leave. Then he picked up the phone, he said something to the secretary. No more buzzing. He was by the Rebbe for 2 hours, close to 2 hours. The Rebbe spoke to him about all the philosophers and everything. That he remembers, one of the things that he repeated was about Maimonides. He asked the Rebbe a very interesting question. He says, Maimonides wrote Maimonides wrote many books. But the 2 main books are the Mishneh Torah for the Rambam. It's called Yeda Chazaka. It's a book of code of Jewish law. Maimonides took the whole West knowledge of the Talmud and organized it as laws. The first one to do it. In an amazing way, he covered every Jewish law, all the way to Messianic times, everything. Who is Moshiach? That's the end we're going to learn soon. And then he wrote another book, The Guide for the Perplexed. That's a book who gives answers so people have questions. And And there is, when you read the two books, it's almost, there is a big argument. Is this the same Maimonides? That the same person wrote the books. Because on the other book, on the philosophical book, is much more, if you want, lenient, more philosophical, and it gives explanations. That in the regular book of Code of Jewish Law, he has no tolerance for such explanations. This young man asked the Rabbi, who is the real Maimonides?
Tell the truth.
The Maimonides of the code of the Yad HaChazaka, of the codifier, or the Maimonides, the philosopher? The Rebbe told them, the real Maimonides is the codifier. Code of Jewish law, that's forever and ever and ever. The guide for the perplexed was for this generation who were lost, who needed to bring them back to Judaism. He was speaking to them on their terms, with their problems that they had in their times. Now he says, who has these questions? Who cares even for all these philosophers they were so obsessed with and questioned Judaism? That was for that time and that place. Maimonides was something when you want to walk on a strong bridge. That's the Maimonides of the codifier. That's the real Maimonides. And this is the book that Rabbi established a tradition 39 almost 39 years ago. It was in 1984. How much is it until now? 39 years ago.
35.
34.
35.
1984.
I know 35 because my
But
son's birthday's tomorrow and he'll be 35. He was born in 1984.
Very good. Then it was what we finished already 38 cycles, because it's a little less than a year. It's a few weeks less than a year. And Rabbi established you should learn 3 chapters of Maimonides every day. Now, there is some chapters who are easy and interesting and light, like the laws about believing God, who is not so, but it's still easy to understand. Laws of prayers, the laws of holidays, still it's things that easy to consume. Then there is, but there in the middle there is quite a few books, are pretty complicated, and takes years and years to learn. Every year we learn it, and every year we get a little more of understand a little more. But it gives you a general understanding a general knowledge of the whole Torah. And because a Jew is obligated to learn the whole Torah in his life, you go learn the whole Torah. It's impossible. The Torah it's like a water they have no end. Go learn the whole Torah. It's impossible. But when you cover all the laws of the Torah, at least the bottom lines, then in a sense you cover the whole Torah. That every year when you complete the book of Maimonides, it's a big celebration. He has 14 books. Maimonides writes in his introduction that he wrote a book that if you learn the Bible, you can take it straight from the Bible and learn his book, and you'll not need any other book in the world. That's how Maimonides writes his book. And why he wrote the book? Because he saw that people are confused. The Talmud is it's hard for understanding. You have to really invest yourself to understand, to come to the conclusion from the Talmud itself. And therefore, he made for us the job. He had such an amazing knowledge. He was able to pull together things that are written in one place in the Talmud, in another place in the Talmud, and a third place in the Talmud, to concentrate, to bring them down to one line, to one paragraph, to one law, and understand what's the bottom line. And that's so great about Maimonides. He lived around, how many years ago? 850, 890 years ago he was born?
Died 1204, I think.
1204, he passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And it's,
2019.
then how much is it?
815
850 years ago he died. And he lived to be 70. He was born Erev Pesach, and he died the 20th of Tevet. And he was born in Morocco, then he went to Spain.
That was just the opposite.
It could be the opposite, Spain and then Morocco. Then he went for a short time to Israel, and most of his the adult life he lived in Egypt. He was the leader of the Jewish community. He was the doctor of the Caliph, I think. And he was Today, you can say that he's the most famous rabbi in the world as a rabbi. There is Hillel, Maimonides, and the Rabbi.
And the Rabbi, yes.